Hello, this is the video that is replacing the meeting that we had scheduled this week after the school board meeting, and the meeting had to be rescheduled because of the send off for the volleyball team. So I've got several things that I want to cover during this video, and I will go ahead and do that once I get my screen to do what it wants to do. There we go. First one is 212 shoutouts. This one is for Alicia Beta. I just want to give a quick shout out to Alicia Beta. She's been such a blessing. I have a little boy who has been having a tough time dealing with the big emotions that have come with the passing away of our aunt last month. He's taking it so hard and will just cry out of the blue and will sometimes get angry about it. Alicia has been very kind, caring, and understanding. She is not only a great teacher, she's also a loving role model and a caregiver who is there when I can't be. I appreciate her communication, her positive attitude, and her love for her students, as well as her taking the time to really care about the emotions he's having to go through for the first time. I am so thankful for her, and our school district is so blessed to have her here. So congratulations, Alicia, and thank you for what you do. The next one, this shout out is for Mrs. Hafke. My third grader came home last week and just kept talking about how she came and ate lunch with my kid and other third graders. I constantly see her building relationships with students and felt like that needed to be recognized. Thank you, Mrs. Hafke, for spending time with my student. Congratulations, Mrs. Hafke. Give you a little update. The business manager opening today, the position closes. The school board is going to be having a special board meeting on Tuesday, and that board meeting will actually go into executive session for the school board to review applicants and make the decision about who they are going to interview. Executive session means it's no longer a public meeting, and I believe that the executive session will be open to school board members, to the business manager, Tom, and myself, and we'll be the only ones in there. And when that process is over, they'll come back out and continue the rest of the meeting, and I believe at that time we'll state who will be the candidates that they will be interviewing for the business manager position. Now, the interviews will be open board meetings because all 5 board members will be there, and they will not be in executive session, and so they'll be open public meetings just like they were when they did superintendent interviews when I was hired. I believe that those interviews will be taking place late next week. It sounds like possibly Friday, maybe Saturday if need be. So stay tuned on that. The next thing I want to talk about is to give you an update on strategic planning. We have met 3 different times and had 3 meetings, and up until this point, we have come up with our mission, our vision, and our commitments. The mission has changed just a little, as you can see. Vision is quite a bit different. It has the 21 or the 21st century skills in there, which we didn't label them as such because it's a buzzword. They're labeled as critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity. And then our commitments stayed the same, as you can see in that picture down below, just that there's a paragraph that goes along with the commitments. But our vision with the 4 C's in there, I foresee as being the cornerstone of our profile of a graduate, which Mrs. Sell is planning to spearhead and move us forward in that direction, having a profile of a graduate. And that's one of the components that we need as we move towards personalized competency-based learning. This page shows the strategic planning, the initiatives, and there's 4 main initiatives: academic engagement and personalized learning, school culture and climate, community outreach and family engagement, and resource management and planning. Now, these are all a draft as of right now, but what I can tell you is that we are going to be putting definitions under each one of these areas, like, for example, profile of a graduate. What does that mean? What will we be doing in terms of monitoring our progress, and how will we be able to determine whether or not we've accomplished those goals that are part of the strategic initiative? So if you've got questions on these, please let me know. Again, this is in a draft form, and then this will come back to the strategic planning committee that's not going to meet until January. They'll meet a couple more times, hopefully come up with an agreed upon strategic plan, at which time I will take it to the school board and ask for their approval of it. If the school board approves it, then that will become our strategic plan, which will be a 5-year running plan. Here's an update on 360-degree feedback results. If you remember, I had you and other members of the staff do anonymous surveys, the 360-degree feedback, and those were for both me as a superintendent as well as our school board. Now, these are not all of the results. We obviously got many more results, but these were the themes. And what I mean by themes is these were the most prevalent answers that came up from you through the anonymous feedback on things that the superintendent, that I do well, things I need to improve upon, things that the board does well and needs to improve upon. And so I can tell you from my aspect as a superintendent, I totally agree with these strengths and areas for growth. And so I thank you for that feedback. And I will work to maintain my strengths and also work to improve upon my areas of growth, because it's not fair for me to ask everyone else to be growing if I'm unwilling to do it myself. And the last piece is an update on personalized competency-based education. And I do know that I've not given you an update since we had the convening in October. We simply sent out some notification. We will cover that in our December 5th early out on what happened at the convening and where we're at. I do need to tell you that LaCosta Potter is no longer going to be our fellow. She is moving to California. But we have secured a new fellow, Tracy Zahn, and Tracy is the Cheyenne Valley Special Ed Director, and I think she'll be fantastic for us as one of our new fellows. And the last thing I want to do is tell you about my visit. I did a site visit to a classroom yesterday, actually. Mrs. Sell came to me and asked me to go visit Mrs. Delahoyt's classroom. And so I just want to tell you what I saw when I was in that classroom. I walked in and try to visualize this as I'm explaining it to you. There were a group of students. She has flexible seating in there. There were a group of students that had their tables connected together. I would say 5, 6, 7 of them. They were all working individually on their iPads, and they were all engaged. As I walked around, they were working on their iPads. There was another group. They were taller tables near the back of the room. And they too were working on their iPads. And I think there was 2 or 3 in that group. And then the third group, which was the largest number of kids, and their tables were all together. They weren't high. They were the regular sized tables. They were up along the windows in the room. And Mrs. Delahoy was there teaching them a lesson in science. And what she was teaching them and how she was teaching them would be very similar to what you would see when a teacher is teaching the entire class, just that she was teaching that lesson to that group. Now, what I can tell you is you've now just listened to what I saw. What I can tell you from what I saw really sums up my chapter 2 of my dissertation. And my chapter 2 of my dissertation is about 80 peer-reviewed journal articles that I synthesized and wrote about in terms of what is competency-based education. And I think that visual that I just told you about would be a great picture to say this is what competency-based education looks like. You've got kids that are at different spots in the curriculum. They're all engaged. They're doing different things. Those kids on the iPads, I asked one of the girls, it was a Harris girl, I said, "What are you doing?" And she said, those of us on the computer are using IXL to work on run-on sentences, which I have a problem with. In terms of run-on sentences, I don't have a problem they're working on that. I have a problem with run-on sentences myself, so thank goodness for Grammarly that helps me avoid that. But I then asked her the question, I said, why are you working on this, on the run-on sentences, and that group is working in science? And she says, oh, it's because we've already got that done. Bingo, competency-based education. So congratulations, Mrs. Delahoyt. You are doing exactly what I've seen, witnessed in my literature review. You know, it's different, and yet it's not that much different. The teacher is still in the room. The kids are still sitting in chairs. The kids are still utilizing curriculum. The lights were still on. One thing, though, that was different was there were different age kids in that group, which is somewhat different. Mrs. Sell later asked me, did you notice that there were second graders in amongst the fourth graders? And I said, no, I didn't notice a difference whatsoever. So, again, congratulations, Mrs. Delahoyt. Thank you for that. I hope that helps you as you listen to my story about how simple and yet unique, kind of like one room schoolhouse concept, personalized competency-based education is. My final thoughts, it's snowing outside, it's cold, the volleyball team's going to be playing tonight, and I wish them well. I want to thank you again as staff of the Oaks Public Schools for what you do each and every day, how you come and address the situations and the issues we have with kids, with staff, with parents, and keep trudging forward. We truly are a great school, and I am fortunate and blessed to be your superintendent, and I'm proud of everything you do, and I'm going to encourage you to keep doing what we're doing. I'm excited to continue moving forward with our initiative on personalized competency-based education, and it's exciting to see the things that you do each and every day with our students. So take care. Bye.